The Bernie Sanders campaign has released an incredible plan to get corporate money out of politics. And there's actually a focus on the Democratic Party in particular, which I love to see. So, first, before I get to his plan, I want to show you just how bad this problem is right now, just how much corporations and the wealthy have influenced politics. So, specifically when it comes to tax policy, last year, the 400 wealthiest Americans paid a lower total tax rate than any other income group. These 400 are worth 2.7 trillion, but they're paying fewer taxes than the 43 million Americans living in poverty. This is how nations collapse. So he's referencing a New York Times report here where it shows in 1950, when America's economy was booming, the wealthiest Americans paid the most in taxes. But as the years went on, the wealthiest and corporations gained control of the system, to the point where in 2018, the wealthiest Americans pay the least in taxes. Now, anyone telling you that this system right now is fair is lying to you. The data is all there. When America was at its height economically, the wealthiest in the country were paying way more in taxes than they currently are right now. So, as I said earlier, how did it get this way? The influence of corporations and the wealthy on politics is a major factor to shaping how the political system has unfolded, or I guess devolved, over the past 50 years. So let me show you Bernie's plan here. Now, I'm going to do something a little different than I normally do. I'm actually going to read through most of the plan on his site. Luckily, a lot of it's in point form, so it'll be easy to follow along. But I want to read this off because it is just packed with incredible with information, with incredible proposals that Bernie would institute as the nominee and as president. So here's the page. Get corporate money out of politics. Our grassroots funded campaign is proving every single day that you don't need billionaires and private fundraisers to run for president. So let's start with the end corruption of national party conventions. So in 2016, 17 donors gave 3/4 of the DNC funding, with large corporations like Bank of America, Pecco Energy, Comcast, and Facebook each donating over $1 million. Their lobbyists were everywhere and filled the VIP suites. This type of corporate sponsorship is a corrupting influence and must end if politicians are going to represent the American people. As the Democratic nominee, Bernie will ban corporate contributions to the Democratic Party convention and all related committees. As president, Bernie will update and strengthen the Federal Election Campaign Act to return to a system of mandatory public funding for national party conventions. And as Bernie's senior advisor tweeted out, when Bernie Sanders is the nominee, the VIPs at the DNC will be teachers, Walmart workers, not CEOs, Starbucks workers, not CEOs, Amazon workers, not CEOs, AT&T workers, not CEOs, the working class, not the billionaire class. Hashtag People's Convention. And there's also a similar approach to the presidential inauguration. So, end corruption of presidential inaugurations. Corporate donors spend tremendous amounts of money on inaugural events. In 2016, Trump's inaugural donors included AT&T, Bank of America, Boeing, ExxonMobil, General Motors, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and many more. Private prisons also shelled out hundreds of thousands of dollars for Trump's inauguration, and this is nothing new. Corporate donors to the 2013 inauguration included Microsoft, Boeing, Chevron, Genentech, and numerous federal contractors. Many of these corporations have federal contracts and business that comes before Congress. It is absolutely absurd that these entities are allowed to spend enormous sums of money in an attempt to garner favor with the president and vice president of the United States. As president, Bernie will ban all corporate donations for inaugural events and cap individual donations to $500. Public election reform. As president, Bernie will fight to pass a constitutional amendment that makes clear that money is not speech and corporations are not people. By doing so, we will overturn the Supreme Court ruling that says money is speech, Buckley v. Valeo, pass legislation to end super PACs, political spending by 501c4s and other organizations who accept unlimited contributions or do not disclose donors, overturn Citizens United, which allows corporations to spend unlimited money on elections, and abolish the worthless FEC and replace it with the Federal Election Administration, a true law enforcement agency originally proposed by former Senators John McCain and Russ Feingold. Also, and the influence of corporations at the DNC. Ban donations from federal lobbyists and corporations. Institute a lifetime lobbying ban for national party chairs and co-chairs. Pass mandatory public financing laws for all federal elections. And also ban advertising during presidential primary debates. And institute a lifetime lobbying ban for former members of Congress and senior staffers. So, what else is there to say? No other candidate has anything like this. Not even close. This shows you really what sets Bernie apart. As somebody who is a lifelong independent, has not been tied to either party, has been willing to call out the establishment in both parties, he's the one candidate in this primary race that you know will actually stand up for you and fight back against the powerful, be it corporate interests, be it the DNC, be it the wealthy, whoever. Bernie Sanders has the track record and has the plan. This, sometimes I feel like I'm talking to a wall. I mean, I kind of am right now. No one's here in front of me. But this is just, isn't this obvious to anybody that is looking at this race with a clear head? How is this not already obvious? There is one candidate in this race that has shown that he will fight for you, that has shown a history of standing strong on these issues, of being a leader on these issues. He had the guts to go up against Hillary Clinton in 2016. Elizabeth Warren didn't. Bernie Sanders waited to see if Elizabeth Warren would run, and he would support her back then. She was afraid to take on Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders wasn't. Bernie Sanders is a fighter. He will actually fight for you. He will not back down when faced with pressure, like I fear Elizabeth Warren would. Now, he also, of course, is running an uncorrupted campaign. He's only taking money from individual donors, averaging $18 a piece. No corporate money, no corporate PACs, no bundlers, no private fundraisers. He's only raising money from the average person. Elizabeth Warren, while she's running the same campaign right now, she said if she wins the nomination, then she'll take money from everywhere in the general. Now, you may think, well, I mean, you have to, right? You're going up against Trump. You got to raise money from everywhere. No, because if you are the candidate, if you are the Democratic nominee, you get billions of dollars in free media. Everybody knows on the ticket it's going to be Trump or, if Trump leaves office, someone he's replaced by, and the Democratic nominee. It's going to be the Republican and the Democrat on the ticket. Why does Elizabeth Warren need to open herself up to all these other donors, this corporate money, corporate PACs, private fundraisers, whatever it is? Why does she need to do that? There is no reason to do that. And it then also gives the Republicans an attack line because Elizabeth Warren could no longer say, well, I'm the only candidate, in this race who is only fighting for the people, only funded by the people. She can no longer use that, which is an effective line for millions of Americans that know that their Congress is bought. She can no longer use that. It's stupid. But back to Bernie here for a second. He tweeted out this recently saying 1 million donors. That's how many people are funding this campaign. And all of their names are now on the wall at our campaign headquarters because this campaign is not just about me. It's about all of us fighting for justice together. This is a true leader. He has said if he becomes president, he will use his power to activate the base, to engage activists all across the country, engage movements all across the country, to put pressure on their senators, on their congresspeople to support the bills that will help the American people. For example, Medicare for all. Bernie Sanders is willing to challenge anybody or politicians in both parties. He's willing to challenge Democrats and Republicans that do not support his agenda. He also said he would be supportive of primaries against Democrats that do not support his agenda. So say, for example, Joe Manchin is up for election, and there's a primary challenger against Joe Manchin, and Bernie's president, Joe Manchin, doesn't support, say, Medicare for all. Bernie Sanders would support the primary challenger against Joe Manchin. This is how you use your power as president to fight for people. Elizabeth Warren will not do that. Elizabeth Warren will protect the Democratic Party establishment. Now, look, I don't think Elizabeth Warren is a Hillary Clinton. I think Joe Biden is the Hillary Clinton in this race. I think Elizabeth Warren is better than Hillary Clinton. But let's not kid ourselves here. There is one person in this race that you know will fight for you because they've been doing it the whole time. And that candidate is Bernie Sanders.